Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents, where we're looking forward to a bit of a local derby in game week 35, but it's not really. Bradley hates West Brom and Lee hates Birmingham, and Bradley's just still raging about the weekend. Let me introduce you to our Wolverhampton Wanderers correspondent, Bradley Parker. How are you, Bradley?
I'm all right, thank you.
Hoping we'll talk about Saturday in a sec, but hoping the bleach is out of reach, obviously. And our Aston Villa correspondent, Lee Jackson's in. How are you, Lee?
All good, thanks, mate.
Good man. Bradley, we've got to start. When this was arranged some weeks ago, I'll be honest, I was thinking what we can do with Wolves for the last 4 weeks. But you brought up a very interesting discussion point at the weekend. What in the world happened at Brighton, mate?
Watched it back and I'm still not quite sure. I just don't think there's mentally there, to be honest. When you watch it back, there's lethargic, massively lethargic.
Were Brighton very good, or were you just truly atrocious?
Brighton was good, but some of the mistakes, like from Sarr, like where he's passing the ball, because Brighton are going to pressure, so I don't know what there was. That was obvious, so I don't know what they was doing. 2 of the goals was giveaways from Nunes, and so. I mean, Danny Welbeck scored from outside the box as well, which is like massive disrespect at that point.
But most of the listeners will know I think really highly of Brighton. So losing to them is not a disgrace. I backed you to go there and get something, mate.
When I saw their team, I thought, oh, we've got a chance today. Over in 10 minutes.
So who's to blame for that on Saturday? Does that fall on players, manager?
Probably players for application. The application more there, but because the team come out, I was surprised Cunha didn't play at all. That was a weird one. But other than that, it was too much different to what we've had because we've been shoving Nunes out wide anyway. So like, well, that's a surprise too much.
This is the point. I was looking at your victory. I want to say you won 8 under Lopetegui. I think you're like 9th or 10th since he took over or so. I think all but one of the victories you've kept a clean sheet. Where does it suddenly come from to have a collapse like that?
I just think after the results against Palace, in the mind they think them safe, and I just think that's what it is. I wouldn't be surprised on Saturday if they'll turn up. I think in some way after last week.
Lee, expect a reaction from Wolves?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, you go back to around Christmas time, we'd really fancied our chances going to Molineux, whereas now less so. They've certainly become a lot harder to beat, and you referenced their defensive record there. Certainly harder to score goals against, which is more that sort of Wolves that we've grown to expect over the last 2 or 3 years, I think. So now they're certainly going to be well up for it and with a point to prove, as sides always are after they get well beaten.
Yeah, I mean, I was predicting the slap in Tottenham got a Newcastle, mate, but I just never saw that coming. Are you safe, Bradley?
Yeah, I think so. They'll get another point. They'll need probably another point or so. They'll get it one way or the other.
7 points clear. Surely it's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll get one. They'll get at least 1 point out of the next what's left, I think. Anyway, so I'm not worried now.
It's a tough 4, though, isn't it? Villa at home, United away, Everton at home. If they could get closer in the next few, and then you finish with a trip to Arsenal.
I feel all right. We'll get a point somewhere. Wouldn't surprise me if it's against like Man United or something, the way Wolves are sometimes.
They're safe, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got to be happy with that as well, Bradley.
Considering we said.
Dropping into the Slack channel over Christmas when the World Cup was on, it wasn't in a good place, was it?
It never is, though, the Slack channel.
No, we have to remember that, though. Obviously, you're getting a bit of a bashing because you got beat by 6 at the weekend. But the reality is, Lopetegui's done a great job, hasn't he? You were bottom of the league when he took over, mate.
Yeah, great job. Really good recruitment in January. That's what's kept him up. The manager. That winter break done us a massive favour. Without that, I don't think we'd stay up.
Who's responsible for that recruitment? Is it the manager?
Yes, and the new guy. Oh, what's his name? It's going to revive me now. They got rid of that Scott Sellers, who was very popular in the Slack channel.
Yeah, I know you had a lot of love for
Matt,
him.
I think his name's Matt Hobbs, I think.
Okay, so presumably he's not, with a name like that, he's not buying as many Portuguese players.
No, but we seem to like Brazilians now.
So you gone from Portugal to Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Lee, what's achievable for Villa with what's left? I think it's 3 weeks or so ago we spoke to you prior to you going to Brentford. Another 4 points on the board since then. The United defeat, the first one since I can't remember when actually. Top four, you said then prior to Brentford is gone. I think we can say categorically that's not possible now. 9 points behind United, having played 2 more. That's definitely off the table.
Yeah.
What is achievable here, though? Does it feel like my team and your team's about to have this big battle for Conference League?
Yeah, and I think Brighton can get dragged into that if they don't pick up points in these games that they've got in hand over Spurs and Villa. Do I expect them to get dragged into that? No. I think Brighton will finish 6th quite comfortably, and then it'll be a shootout between Spurs and Villa for that 7th place spot. And it's probably going to come down to that game at Villa Park where we go head to head in a 6-pointer. Villa win, I give us every chance of doing it. If Spurs win, I think it's probably over. But like I said to you a few weeks back, if we finish 8th, that is an incredible success. Not only based on where we were 6 months ago when Gerrard got sacked in 17th, but also even at the start of the season, we would have taken that. Like I said to you, Villa haven't finished in the top half since 2010. That's a long time. So to finish 8th would be great. But
never mind that, where you were in the international break, it's not that long ago. We're kind of in the middle of game week 34. We're pre-recording this on the Wednesday of game week 34. In game week 29, you went to Chelsea and won and went above them.
Yeah, and now we're 15 points ahead of them.
I mean, it says a lot about...
We might finish above them, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Says a lot about Chelsea, who unfortunately, Bradley, if Wolves are safe, then Chelsea on 2 points more are definitely safe as well. Don't give yourself any chance of catching Liverpool, therefore, Lee, even though you've still got to play them as well, right? I mean, you've got to play all 3 teams around you.
It. And we said this a few weeks ago, didn't we? You look at that run in for Villa and it's like we've got 3 6-pointers effectively with Brighton and Tottenham both coming to Villa Park, got to go to Anfield. Yeah, massive games. I mean, but I think we'd have to win all 4 of our remaining games to have any chance of that. And even so, I still think Liverpool would probably finish above us in 5th.
I mean, if you won all 4 games, they'd have to win their other 4 to finish above you, mate. So if you won the 4 games, there's every chance you would finish 5th.
Yeah, no one wins at Anfield, they do that.
It's my words, and you're telling me, yeah. Unless you're a Leeds fan, they've also got bigger problems at the moment. Would you be happy to go in the Conference League, Lee?
I would be, and I think most Villa fans would be absolutely delighted to be in the Conference League. To have any sort of European football would just be so exciting for a club that hasn't had it since Martin O'Neill was in charge.
Particularly with the European specialist manager that you've got.
Yeah, 100%. Why not? I mean, another long-term unwanted record is how long it's been since we won a trophy. I was 4 years old the last time we won a trophy. We're not counting the Intertoto Cup or the playoff final, but a proper trophy. Yeah, 96.
That's great, because the last time Tottenham won one, I was 24, so I feel a lot better now, mate. You a lot younger than me, so maybe I shouldn't feel that much better. Do you think you do it?
What, get into the Conference League?
Yeah.
No. Heart says, yeah, why not?
Why?
Because I don't think that we necessarily will beat you guys at Villa Park. I think that could well be a draw. And I wouldn't guarantee that we're going to go to Molineux and win. And then I think if Brighton have got to win last day of the season to secure 6th, they'll do it at Villa Park. I think they do have real quality. I'm not going to steal your thunder and wax lyrical about Brighton anymore. We all know how good they are. So yeah, I don't think there's any of those 4 games that are a gimme where we're guaranteed to win. We've got huge confidence because under Emery we've done so well, but I do think we are probably just going to fall short. I think we need 9 points from those 4 games to finish 7th.
That probably makes Saturday must win then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear you say you don't think you'll beat my team.
I don't know. It's just, I think it feels to me like the sort of game we could just end up drawing because we haven't quite got enough luck on the day or enough quality to get the job done.
So let me get this right. Since Emery took over, you're what, second or third? Where are you this week, Lay?
Yeah, one of those two. I haven't actually looked this week because we lost. I don't want to look at that stat anymore.
And Tottenham have conceded, I don't even want to look how many goals this season, which includes 10 in their last 2 away games. Come on, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, you're guilty of this. I think always as a fan, you're quite pessimistic of your team's expectations. So yeah, there's part of me in the back of my head that's going, it's Villa. We're not going to get Europe this season after the start we had. But yeah, we should be expecting to beat Tottenham, given recent form with both teams.
Bradley, how do you see that playing out? Who do you think finishes higher, Villa or Tottenham? You're going to fall out of one of us. Go on, mate.
Probably Tottenham.
Oh,
through Harry Kane carrying on the back.
He's been doing that all season, mate. I think it's fair to say, in seriousness, our toughest game left, Lee, is you.
Yeah.
He's playing away to you. Whereas that's probably your second easiest fixture is playing us.
Exactly.
And that's probably the difference where, yeah, I mean, I'll be at Villa Park in 36, but to be honest, that's the one I'm looking at going, yeah, don't lose that across the other 3. We should probably finish above you. And I would absolutely want to go in the Conference League, mate. I mean, I'd rather go in the Europa League, but give me the Conference League. You'd fancy winning it, wouldn't you? That's the point.
Yeah.
Look at Suj at the moment. He can't wait for next week.
I thought you were going to get that dig in. If West Ham can get to the semi-finals.
Well, I'm sort of hoping they win it. So if they win it, they can't dig me out next year if my team's in it, right?
Absolutely.
Bradley, you mentioned Cunha was left out at Brighton at the weekend. What's he brought to you recently?
Energy in attack. Links the midfield to attack.
So
is a link.
Why did he come out, do you think?
Probably just fatigue in his legs, I think.
Because Pedro Neto played, and I was at Molineux when he started against us, and he didn't look, I mean, that's quite a while ago.
Dead.
He didn't look ready.
No. He looked a bit sharp last Saturday, but I'd Cunha straight back in.
Are you concerned about how Neto's returned?
I think I just need to give him a pre-season again. If he's not looking good after pre-season next season, and then injuries have probably done him. He's had 2 big ones back to back. So
was that a 4-4-2 at Brighton? Because it had been for the few games before that.
It was a mess at Brighton.
I know that, but what did he change the system?
It seemed to change throughout the entire match. Like sometimes Jameas was going wide, Nunes was coming inside. It was a mess because the midfield just didn't exist. It didn't exist. The cut through was like butter every time. It's weird.
Why? You'd obviously praised Lamina quite a lot recently. Neves back as well. So why?
I don't think Jameas knew what he was supposed to be doing. To me, it looked like he was just chasing the shadows, and Lamina tried to cover the gap. Brighton get in the gap.
So did they need to play? Do they need to play 3 in now? But it feels like, because you've had 2 up front recently, you feel like, to me, you've been a bit better offensively.
Yeah, I think it's just a big cataclysmic mess. I don't think it'll happen again. But the positioning of Nunes was just everywhere and nowhere. Gomez was everywhere and nowhere. Lamina was sort of just trying to cover every hole possible, exposed. Neves just stayed where he was, to be honest. I noticed him a bit more than the rest, but they're just disorganised massively.
I want to come back onto Neves. I know it's Craig Dawson was taken off at half-time as well.
Yeah.
Shocker?
He wasn't worth anybody else. I just think at his old days, so just protect him, get him off.
All right. Lee, what system do Villa play? If you defined it as a formation in numbers.
4-4-2, I think. But it's a very fluid 4-4-2 because when we get the ball, it's not. For the 4-4-2 seems to be the structure when we don't have the ball. You can very clearly see quite a lot of the time those two banks of four in front of each other. But when we do have the ball, it's very imbalanced. And Emery's spoken about this, how he wants Moreno on the left to bomb forward, whereas Ashley Young or Matty Cash is dropping back, and it's almost like a three that stay back. So yeah, when it's in attack, it's very different, and you almost go into a sort of hybrid 3-5-2 when we've got the ball, with Moreno making up a sort of midfield five, with McGinn on the right of that. But yeah, it's a really interesting system, and Emery has vocally come out and said, "Look, I want it to be imbalanced. I want one of my fullbacks to be getting forward," which maybe puts a question mark over Matty Cash's future. If he wants that right back position to be more defensive, does that end up being like what we spoke about before, where Conser ends up playing at right back, knowing that most of the time it's just going to be a defensive thing for him?
Yeah, I was going to ask in a weird way, not that you've benefited from Cash being injured, but have you benefited from the fact that Ashley Young has been playing right back? Because we in FPL circles, we're kind of obsessed with, let's talk about Moreno, he's the one flying forward. But actually, Young's given really sensible balance, isn't he?
Yeah, and Young, despite his age, I think he turns 38 in a couple of weeks' time, his ability in one-on-one situations is still pretty damn good. There was one game we played recently where I think he got skinned a bit because his pace isn't quite what it was. But most of the time, when a forward is facing up Ashley Young one-on-one, I feel comfortable. I think, yeah, he'll be all right here.
One of the things that's been clear recent weeks is this high line.
Yeah.
That's probably not a concern against Wolves as such. Unless you want to correct me, Bradley, any in-behind pace that Villa should be worried about?
Cunha.
Just quick as, yeah?
Yeah, travels quite well.
So you'd expect him to come back in?
Yeah, if he don't come back in, that'd be very weird. Very weird.
But I'm thinking of Son, Salah, Mitoma in later weeks, Lee. Is there going to need to be an adjustment, do you think?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see whether he wants to play that mid block that we saw at Old Trafford that didn't work particularly well at all. Actually, at Old Trafford, there was 3 or 4 marginal offsides where we just about played the offside trap well enough to keep them off, and then obviously eventually we didn't, and that's where the goal came about then. So yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he adopts a slightly maybe deeper block against those teams that have got the pace in behind. Watching us against Man United at Old Trafford at the weekend, it's frightening what like Salah or Son's pace in behind could do.
Did you deserve to get beat Sunday?
Yeah, I think so, just about. But I don't think a point would have been a particularly unfair reflection either. It was one of those marginal ones. We certainly didn't do enough to win the game, but I don't think we played badly either. Particularly, it was just one of those days, I think.
Okay. Do you think it'd be same team at Wolves?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it's not the same team.
Would Kamara being fit change that maybe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. If Kamara's fit, I think he'd probably come straight back in for Dendoncker. But otherwise, I think
Dendoncker.
He started the last 2 or 3 for us.
That's permanent move, isn't it? So he can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Bednarek we got on loan at the same time, and Dendoncker was.
I thought, in fairness, Lee, I watched the Newcastle game like many will have. I thought it was outstanding. Very quietly, very, very good.
Yeah.
Is he made that position his own now to lose, or would a Kamara, as you say, probably come in when ready?
No, I think we missed him at Old Trafford. Kamara, that is. Dendoncker is very good off the ball. Probably as good as Kamara off the ball in terms of breaking up the play and winning it back, and get positionally, defensively very good. But on the ball, Kamara has that ability to bring the ball out and drive like not many defensive midfielders have. And we did miss that at Old Trafford. Our ball retention at Old Trafford was really poor. We kept giving it away.
Have you missed him, Bradley?
Dendoncker?
Yeah.
No.
You sure?
Yeah. Lamina is a massive upgrade. Massive.
I'm not sure Fulham fans and Southampton fans would necessarily agree with that, interestingly. And he made very good starts for both of those two clubs, interestingly, as well. I do want to talk a little bit of FPL. Bradley, no, you can't disappear, because there are 2 very interesting Wolves assets, particularly for those. And I have seen people who are on wildcard this week. You got a couple of dirt cheap defenders, mate. Who's going to play left back?
I thought Bueno, personally.
It probably doesn't matter for whoever's buying because I presume they're probably not going to start them. But would that be your 3.8 of choice? Are they both still 3.8?
Yeah, I think so. I won't bother with Totti. He's just a stopgap player.
He had a run of games though. What was the theory behind that? Do you know?
I just think Breno just come back from injury and he's obviously fell out without Nuri. So he just shoved the left foot to left back. And added a bit of physicality to the defence for a few games. Some extra physicality. He did all right. But...
So Bueno, the left back, a choice. Cunha, 5.3 forward. You keep talking him up to me, Bradley.
Yeah, he's good at like making the team better, not for fantasy football.
Fine. Someone who's made many a fantasy football team better this year is probably my sign of the season, actually, Lee. I think Ollie Watkins. Cut the blanks in a row, though. So what is he now? Troll, waste of space. Should we be selling, Lee?
I think it depends where you want to go to. I think there's certainly an argument to be made to sell him. I was playing with my team earlier and having a little look, and I think it's quite likely that I will come off him for Isak in a couple of weeks' time when the Newcastle double. But I don't think he's a must sell. If you've got other fires to put out in your team, there's nothing wrong with keeping him. He's proved this season he can score in any fixture. He scored against Arsenal, scored against City. So I wouldn't be concerned. If you have to play Watkins when we go to Anfield, it's not ideal, but it's not a disaster. There's more than a chance that he could get a return there. So
I mean, look at his haul against Newcastle. Best defence in the league across the whole season, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So no, he's not a must sell. But for me personally, with the double that Newcastle have got, I think I will be moving him to Isak.
So Bradley, I've got an interesting dilemma as it stands at time of recording. Tony away to Liverpool, Watkins away to yourselves. Who should I be benching?
Tony.
Lee?
Tony. I've got the same dilemma. I've got both of them.
Are you copying my team? Have you?
Yeah, actually, no, you're copying my team.
Oh, okay,
which way
mate,
around is it?
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah. Let us know what day your podcast is out, mate. No, that's the way I've got it set up as well. Interestingly, though, you've mentioned the idea of selling Watkins for an Isak, or it might even be Callum Wilson when it comes around ahead of game week 36, which is perfectly understandable. Are we off our heads, Lee, to consider selling Ollie Watkins before Tottenham at home in game week 36, just because Isak or Wilson might have 2 games?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a fixtures play. And like you've said on the podcast this week, at this point in the season, you're looking for those explosive assets. And if a player's good, like Isak's quality has 2 fixtures, you've got twice as many chances of him going off.
Of those 4 games left, Wolves away, Tottenham at home, Liverpool away, Brighton at home. In how many of those 4 games would you be comfortable starting Tyrone Mings if you owned?
2. I wouldn't mind starting him at Molineux. I think the Molineux game could be tied 1 goal, 1-0 either way. And I wouldn't mind starting him home to Tottenham for a similar reason.
So it's hold next 2 then. I presume at that point, you're probably not going to be selling unless you're maybe getting a cheap Brighton defender in for 37, or I don't suppose anyone's going to go for a cheap Chelsea defender. You'd probably bench him after that. That's fair enough. Would that be the same answer for Moreno owners? Or is that a more difficult player to bench at the moment?
I think it is more difficult to bench given how far forward he gets. But similarly, if you're selling a Moreno or a Mings for an Estupinan or a Dunk, your third Brighton asset, fine, no issues. And if you haven't got a third Newcastle when it comes around to the double again, I think that's fine to move them on for that. But Moreno's certainly the pick. It's harder to sell him than Mings, despite the fact that after I said that on the last podcast, Mings went and scored.
Why does Moreno keep getting taken off?
I think there's probably an element of Luca Dean is good, and we're blessed in that position actually that we've got two pretty good attacking fullbacks who can both swing across him, and who both like to get forward. And I think there comes a point in the game where he's looking at his bench, and actually we don't have the strongest bench at the moment because we've got a few injuries. And Luca Dean's attacking output looks good, especially if Moreno is getting tired around that time.
FPL managers shouldn't be concerned though.
I don't think so. I don't think he's been hooked before the 60-minute mark. So if anything, you might end up in that lucky position where he banks a clean.
No, but the last three now, he's come off. I don't want to say early. Brentford, well, I guess, was early, 65 minutes. Fulham at home, 76. United away, 74. And in two of those, when he was taken off, obviously you were losing. You were losing at United, obviously, and you were losing at Brentford when he was taken off as well. So that would surprise people, I think. I wonder if it's just a case of the sheer volume of work that he's got to get through in terms of he's got to get up and support as soon as possible, isn't he?
And we had 3 games in a week, a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
Yes, true.
Last week.
And that obviously eases off now as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned from a minutes point of view. Bradley, who's Wolves player of the year?
Neves.
Would he still be there next year?
No.
Why?
1 year left on his contract.
So the club have got to cash in, basically.
Yeah, if he's not going to stay.
So it's new deal or bin him. How much money do you want?
35 to 40.
I mean, I think you'd get that quite comfortably, mate, to be totally honest, because I think there'd be a lot of suitors. How good is he?
Great. He's a great player. He could play for any team. He'll fit right in. You wouldn't ever look at a place.
So you could drop him in Man City's team, in your opinion?
Yeah, he wouldn't start every week, though. Not with Rodri there. But
no one starts every week for Man City.
He's a much better player. He's a much better player than Calvin Phillips, who they brought for 50.
Yeah, I'm not going to give an argument against that.
No.
Lee, any interest in Ruben Neves? I know you've got a new director of football. I think it's gone in today,
No.
isn't he, from Barcelona?
Yeah, don't get me to try and pronounce his name.
Is this the sort of how many is it?
Yeah.
Unai Emery with someone how many?
Yeah.
All you need to do now is buy Mohamed El Neni, and you've got a right trio there, mate.
There's got to be a decent football song in that, hasn't there?
Yeah, I'd say so.
No, really like Neves. Yeah, I'd certainly take him at Villa. Valuation seems a bit high though, Bradley. Maybe 5 or 10 million, I think.
You brought Dendoncker for 12.
He's got a point, Lee. Although he's done very well for you the last month or so, Leander Dendoncker. But it probably speaks something for you, Lee, that we're even half joking, admittedly, but linking you to a player like that. Are you looking for a very different caliber of player now this summer?
Yeah, we're certainly looking upwards, I think. We're not looking for players that are going to keep us in the Premier League. We're looking for players that can make sure we're top half again next season or beyond into Europe. Coming back to Neves, though, I was just looking. I was surprised to see he's only 26. I don't know if it's because of the facial hair, but I feel like he looks like he's about 35. At 26, at 26, like you say, you would be expecting a big fee for Neves if he does.
I think you're underplaying that, Bradley, even with a year on his contract, mate. 35, 40 million would be minimum, I think, mate. Honestly. He's a very, very good player. I think if he'd gone somewhere last summer, you'd look in 60 plus.
Yeah.
And I don't think these clubs will look at it now and they just don't feel so pressured about it because, all right, yeah, you get 30 million in the door now, but what if you're shit and you go down? Well, you haven't made any money on that deal, have you? You're very unlikely to go down with a player like Ruben Neves available for you. What does the squad need this summer? Does it need a new goalkeeper for a start?
It needs a goalkeeper that is potential number one. Because I signed Daniel Bentley, but he's not. Sarr probably knows in the back of his head he's just the number 2 goalie. We need somebody who's going to come in and really kick him up the arse or push him out. Has he
regressed this season, or is it a case of that he's under no threat? His
distributions regressed a lot. Last season was fantastic. I don't know. It must be a Portuguese goalie thing because Patricio went down the shitter like that as well.
My goalkeeper's French, Bradley, so I don't think it's a nationality thing. Lee obviously has the best goalkeeper in the world in Emery Martinez, the world-class Emery Martinez, as we well know. What else needs strengthening, Bradley?
Right back. They need another right back. They'll need at least 2 centre mids, I think. Losing Neves and Moutinho in one window.
He's out of contract as well, Moutinho.
Yeah. I'd probably need a striker. Fabio can come back. We've got that Kolasinac, but he's super injury prone, so they'd be idiots to rely on him being fit every week.
It's felt like you've needed a striker since Raul Jimenez's very unfortunate injury at Arsenal, which was during
he'll be gone as well.
2020.
Yeah, Nuno was still there then. So
Jimenez is Wolves' career's over, is it? Or
yeah, we fell out with him as well. They had beef though ever since the Mexico World Cup thing. Like, he made a comment about it early on. He's a bit like, oh, there's something going on with Mexico in there. Because he played a friendly when we played a cup match. It was like, you can't be that injured then, can you? It's a shame they ended.
Do you think if you'd have got a manager in, not as experienced as Lopetegui, you'd have stayed up?
No, because I want to sign those players in January.
So essentially, he's the most important person at the football club now.
Yeah. Which,
by the way, is how it should be, because I'm sure Lee probably thinks the same about his manager now as well, I should imagine. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. How much backing do you think he'll get, though, Bradley, to get the players that he wants in the summer?
I'm fairly confident, because I need to restructure the whole... He's done well. He's like a hybrid of Nuno and Bruno Lage, pretty much. He's had some of his own, but the main nucleus is still a bit Nuno-like, really. I mean, next season... I'm trying to think who'll be left from the main Nuno era. I don't think there's
Connor Cody might be back, might
he? No, they'll flog him to. He'll get to Sheffield United, is my prediction.
Oh, right. Tomo, in the response, what you think about that, mate? Lee, are you expecting a big summer from Villa?
Well, given today's announcement that we've got someone who's going to work alongside Emery and focus on the transfer dealings, yeah, you'd expect so. There must be something in the works. Otherwise, he's just going to be twiddling his thumbs all summer, isn't he? But in a weird way, I don't feel like we actually need that much. I think we certainly need another striker, because if Watkins gets injured, we've got John Duran, who's 19 years old. And a second goalkeeper, because Robin Olsen's not good enough. On the times when he's had to deputise for Martinez, he hasn't looked good. But other than that, especially if Emery's going to bring these players that are out on loan back in and have a look at some of our youngsters, I don't feel like there's that much that we need to spend. But yeah, a striker and a second goalkeeper are certainly two of the priorities.
I guess it'll be a little bit like we discussed a few weeks ago, whether you qualify for Europe or not, probably make a big impact, because obviously if you did say finish 8th and don't have any European football at all, and you've got all these kids coming back, who many of them are ready to be very competitive. The likes of, Archer could probably be Watkins' backup next year, can't he, really? Rather than actually buying someone. And there's other players who are out as well. If they come back in and add, then that's almost better competition than buying a backup for Watkins and Archer getting unhappy and then wanting to leave and go to a different club, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think most of the Villa fans, from what they've seen of Archer, would be quite excited to have him back, sitting on the bench every week.
Yeah, Middlesbrough haven't got any agreement in place for a permanent or anything, if they go up or anything like that, have they?
No, nothing.
I hope they don't go up Middlesbrough.
Why's that, Bradley?
Because I don't want to try and sign Ryan Giles off us. I feel like Wolves might think, let's cash in.
Is that your right back solution next year then?
Nah, he's left back.
Is that your left back solution next year then?
It'd be good to see. They need to give him a look.
You ain't short of left backs, are you? Or any of them any good?
Yeah. Bueno's good.
He's young, isn't he?
I know he's good, but he's dead in the water now. So
yeah, you're not short of people in that position, actually. It's Jones is the lad who plays on the right for Middlesbrough, isn't it? It covers out there sometimes. Yeah. Where do you think you finished, Bradley?
About 12, something like that. 13, 12.
Above or below Chelsea?
Above. Let's have a laugh. We'll say above.
Go on then, Lee. Where are you finishing?
8th. I'd bite your hand off for 7th.
Do you know what? I'm really tempted to say above or below Tottenham, mate.
Below.
I think that the 36 games probably got to be won from your perspective, and you probably need to win this weekend as well. But yeah, don't doubt Tottenham's ability to do naff all in the next 4 games either, mate. Let's do predictions for the weekend then before we let you go. Bradley?
Continuing what happened last week. I think we won 6 out of 8 in the league. Got home under him now, so I'm going to say 1-0 Wolves. But we lost to Leeds and Bournemouth, which is predictable, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say you beat some decent teams at home this year. I don't know if Tottenham and Chelsea fall into that. Like, obviously, Liverpool do, in fairness, but obviously they weren't good that day. They went to your place, mate. Go on then, Lee.
So on the 12:30 kickoff this weekend, the Palace West Ham game that went off, I said on Slack, what a boring game for a 12:30. That just don't feel any excitement about this game. And I sort of feel the same about Villa Wolves, in that I think it'll be a pretty dull game, and I think it's got 1-0 written all over it either way. So I'm going to say 1-0 Villa, but I think it ain't going to be first on match of the day. That is a fact.
Right, we'll hold you to that, mate. I reckon Tottenham Palace will be, mate. That'll be about 4-3. Again, we can't defend, and we've got plenty of firepower up front. So, I think it'd be a draw, actually. To be honest, I don't think that's a terrible result for either, because you'll still be very much in your hands, Lee. If you draw, you beat us the next week, it'll be back in your hands, right? So, yeah, 1-1, I think, despite last week's hiccup, Bradley.
I'm not worried about it.
I don't see it becoming like a big deal. And in a weird way, because of like Chelsea again on Tuesday night, it's like Wolves Saturday. You haven't become a crisis club. It's like, fucking hell, Wolves lost 6-0. That was a bit weird. But you'll be all right. That's how it feels at the moment. Bradley, where can everyone fully on the bird at, mate?
At Parker_Bradley.
Good man. And Lee?
Lee_Jackson_92.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, both of you, gents, and good luck this weekend. I promise more FPL chat on the next Clash of Correspondents, because it is likely to be next Thursday, Newcastle versus Brighton, ahead of double game week 36. And the bonus COTC next Friday, Leicester versus Liverpool, with Aaron Lagor and Dan Lord. Just leaves me to say, Suj will be back with myself for the second part of the double game week 34 review tomorrow. Thanks again to Bradley and to Lee. Cue music, please, man child.